My name is Michelle Perna, and I'm a marriage coach for moms. Nicole, can you please introduce yourself to the group, tell them who you are and what you do, and then we'll get into it.
Yeah, thank you so much, Michelle, for having me back. I really believe that talking about sex and understanding our sex drive as moms is really important as well. So I'm Nicole Buratti. I am a sex coach. I also help women working through dating and relationships. And so I live on the Jersey Shore. I'm a mom of 3 boys. And I recently wrote a book called The Gemma Method, which is based on my method of how I work with women to have better sex drive, masturbation. And I know it's like hot topic and people are like, how could that be important? But it is actually really important for balancing your hormones and lowering stress. So studies have been done on why these are so important, and they've come up with 10 major importances that all of the scientists have agreed on. I'm going to talk mostly about my top 3 favorite ones today, but overall, number 1, having regular orgasms and masturbating can help you live longer. It's anti-aging, and that's because of the increase in oxytocin. So oxytocin is the love hormone, and we call it the happy hormone. It helps with the dopamine and serotonin levels in the brain, so it helps with happiness, and we all know that happiness helps us live longer and is anti-aging. Also with anti-aging, we have the circulation of blood from having orgasm and masturbation, working to bring the blood and all of the good stuff to our face, and so it's anti-aging for our face as well. Next is it reduces anxiety. So having too much cortisol levels in the blood can obviously increase our anxiety levels. And so when we can lower cortisol by bringing up the oxytocin, dopamine, and serotonin, then we can reduce our anxiety. And I don't know about you, but for me as a mom, especially during COVID and homeschooling and juggling a career, writing a book and a business, I wrote this book literally from day 1 of quarantine lockdown to about a week ago. And
Super
so,
mom.
yeah, it was very stressful. My husband was like, please take a break before you write your next book. Because the level of anxiety in my bubble was pretty high. And so I can attest to the fact that having more orgasms and having a masturbation practice in your life can reduce stress and anxiety and improve your relationships and make you a better mom. So the next one is circulation. I kind of already talked about circulation and how that attributes to better overall health, but also anti-aging. It can help with having easier periods. So again, getting that oxytocin flowing through the bloodstream and getting the hormones that regulate your periods can also make your periods more regular. But the oxytocin level reduces pain. So any type of pain, but especially any kind of pain in the pelvic region caused by menstruation especially, can be reduced because of that level of oxytocin, and oxytocin talking with the dopamine. You'll sleep better, which also attributes to reduced anxiety. Increased immune system, so again, back to circulation and anti-aging. When we're having that better circulation, our immune system is working more properly and more effectively. We can have a reduction in migraines, again, because of the pain factor, or pain reducing factor. And believe it or not, it can increase your fertility because of how masturbation and orgasms interact with our immune system. Fertility favors when the T3 and T4 are working optimally. And so it can actually increase your chances of getting pregnant. It doesn't necessarily mean you're going to get pregnant easier, but it can increase your chances of getting pregnant.
So I
So
don't know what T3 and T4 means, but can you let us know what that means in
yeah,
case other people are wondering too?
T3 and T4 are your thyroid hormones that are basically your immune system. And so they produce white blood cells that are in your body, going throughout looking for any kind of foreign invaders. So in the studies done with COVID, for instance, we have found that our T3 doesn't know COVID, which is why women or people who get COVID get so sick, because it requires the T4, which knows, T4 kind of goes through your bloodstream looking for foreign invaders who they can kind of engulf.
Sure.
But COVID is shaped with crowns, and so it can't get around.
Can't get around. Wow.
Because it's not familiar to it.
Yeah.
So T3 responds to familiar viruses, things that your body has had before. T4 is more looking for the really foreign new stuff, but especially things like allergens.
Mm-hmm.
So people who have allergies, it's up to your T4 to attack that for you, which is
Yeah. Is there a downside to using a vibrator too often? Could it make you less sensitive to other types of stimulation?
It's a really good question, and I'm finding recently that more and more women are talking about desensitization after using a vibrator too much, especially using the clit suckers. So this new technology that Lilo and Womanizer is using is the suction technique, technology. And they can be great, and a lot of women are saying mind-blowing to describe the effects of these toys, but yes, they can definitely decrease sensitization. Doesn't mean don't use it at all, it just means use it a little bit less.
Nuggets that you've been sharing, like how it helps you live longer, anti-aging, which I know all women are all about, and makes for easier periods. I mean, who doesn't want all of that? These are really great benefits to having regular orgasms.
Right. So those are the top 10, but I think my 3 favorites are the pain reduction, the immune system boost, and the anti-aging, for sure.
Yeah.
And I mean, anxiety, of course, so I have to cheat and have 4 favorites. When it comes to masturbation, I think that the number one benefit to masturbation is getting to know your own body. And right now my theme for the summer is body image. And I think that body image is something that's really important to address during summer because we're wearing less clothing. And we have to accept who we are and accept the body we've been given, especially during COVID, because everybody's talking about how they haven't been able to exercise, get outside. And so they're not feeling themselves in their own skin right now. And all of the fat shaming memes that are going around Facebook about COVID and the weight that we've probably all gained is just not so good for our mental health.
No.
And studies have shown that women who have low body image have lower libidos.
That makes sense.
And so one way to work through that poor body image is to get to know your own body and to show it pleasure. And so masturbating, you are discovering what turns you on, what feels good for you, and how amazing your body is. And everybody in your group is a mom. So that alone, being a mom, just think about how much your body has done to nurture your child or your children, whether it's by just holding and cuddling your children, nursing maybe vaginal delivery, maybe cesarean delivery. No matter what, you've nurtured another human being with your body. And so how do we turn that conversation around to nurture our own selves through our body?
I love that.
I think the number one thing is masturbation.
Yeah. And it helps bring you closer with your husband or your partner if you're not married, because then if you know what you like, you're able to communicate that with them, right? And that goes for all needs, ladies, like not just sexual.
Right. We can't expect our partners to just know what turns us on or how to touch us or what we like, we have to show them. Otherwise, it brings more frustration, and then the cycle starts and it ends in lower libido. And then just not wanting to connect at all. Exactly. And so when we're able to teach them, they love when we teach them. To them, that's like the first step in dirty talk.
Yeah, it's like handing him the manual. And if you don't, then you're leaving it up to him to guess. And if it doesn't work out, he kind of feels like a failure and he may not try anymore.
Exactly. And it really opens the conversation to the next step in pleasing yourself and pleasing each other.
Yeah. Love it. Okay, so another question is, any tips for orgasm when you're really tired or distracted? Which I'm sure a lot of moms can relate to.
I think difficulty with orgasm is a really popular topic for moms because we are touched out, we're exhausted, we're juggling so many things that where we have to start is in our mind. So we have to get into the right mindset. We have to get into the headspace. And so I always work with my clients by, let's manage your day to day. And then let's have that space and time where it's just you, whether it's a walk around the neighborhood, it's a long shower, a warm bath, a cup of tea with a book, and then that time with your partner. But having that space between being mom and being wife is really important. Sometimes all it takes is a deep breath. I had a friend who was having this conversation with me years ago, and she said, Nicole, all day long, I'm the CEO of my office. And my drive home is my time alone, right? And then I get into the driveway, and I take my hair down and I say, okay, now it's time to be Randy's wife and the kid's mom.
Right.
And so having that time to decompress and like, it's almost like a period at the end of the sentence.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Period at the end of your day.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Transition. That's the word I'm looking for.
Yeah. And ladies, if you struggle with doing this, think about it as like the pre to the foreplay, right? Like this is your own time to set yourself up for success, not just jump right to the next thing. Like you got to stop the autopilot. And like you said, like your friend said, you know, she pulls up into the driveway and she does something physical. You can do something physical or you can think something and be like, okay, I am the sexy girlfriend right now. That's the role I'm playing.
Right.
I love that.
I think a lot of moms have guilt about taking time for themselves. But I think we can all agree that having time for ourselves, even if it's 15 minutes in the shower or it's a Pilates class, that time on your own is going to make you better at being a mom and better at being a wife. It allows you to be more present when you return from having that break. I think our current society has so much demand on moms and women in general of being in the masculine and being in charge and being the CEO of the office, the home, the family, and managing everything, that we just are losing touch with our feminine energy, which is having that time and that space alone, that transition time to get in touch and to get in touch with our feminine side.
Absolutely.
And it's not necessarily the feminine, the man and the woman role, but it's the energy, right? During the day, where that stoic CEO, where when we come home, we have to move into that energy of flow, which is the feminine.
Yes, absolutely. And I love talking about this with my clients. I have a graphic that I will share in this group. It shows you how masculine and feminine energies need to be balanced. You can move between the two, but if you're overly one way, you will experience the downsides of it. And like you said, it's not about male, female. All people have both energies. So it's about navigating through both of them in a healthy way for you.
as women, if we're constantly in that masculine, stoic left brain, we're going to have a much harder time in the bedroom.
Yep. Having
orgasm. We have to be in the flow. And if you think about how when you're having sex, I was just quoted by Women's Health magazine on moaning during sex and why we moan during sex. That moaning actually is movement in the body of the feminine energy.
Oh.
So if you moan during sex, you're more likely to have a better orgasm.
Yeah.
Because that moaning is, you're in it and you're releasing that energy, and the pelvic floor is moving in the feminine.
I love that.
Yeah,
I always wondered about that. But yeah,
everyone
feminine
does.
is all about receiving, and the masculine is all about doing. And when you're having intimate moments, you do have to surrender to the feminine and be ready to receive. If you're constantly distracted thinking about other things, then you're going to have a blockage in receiving, and that's going to make it all the more difficult to fully experience and immerse yourself in the experience.
Totally.
Okay, so the next question is, can you share more on how to orgasm without a vibrator? Seems difficult to get the necessary level of stimulation. So I think that ties back to the desensitization, sounds like.
It could definitely be desensitization, but it can also really be about your anatomy. And again, touching your genitals doesn't have to be a sexual thing. It can be a getting to know your body massage or exploration. And so figuring it out without a toy is going to take more time. And then it's up to you to learn and then to teach your partner. Most women need clitoral stimulation to have an orgasm. Very few women need only G-spot stimulation. It's 99.9% of the population of women need clitoral stimulation. And so I think that it's a misconception that intercourse should give us an orgasm.
Oh, yeah.
Most women do not have orgasm by intercourse.
And then faking it because the men think that that's like, oh, success, I did it.
Exactly. There are very few men who know how to give women an orgasm by intercourse. So it's a matter of exploration, but don't give up.
Yeah.
And really get, again, in that headspace.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Michelle?
It's definitely possible, but it does take more awareness and surrendering to get to that place when you compare it to clitoral stimulation, for sure.
Exactly. And the G-spot doesn't have as many nerve endings as the clitoris does, obviously. And then the vagina has like no nerve endings, because if you think about it, we give birth there.
That'd be horrible.
Yeah. So the nerve endings are in the clitoris and in the cervix, but there's almost nothing in between so that we can birth humans.
Thank goodness. Just thinking back, because my daughter's now 11 weeks old today. That would be awful if our vagina had all these nerve endings.
Right. I mean, the population would have ended a long time ago.
100%.
Childbirth is hard enough.
Yeah.
It's enough sensations, not necessarily pain. There should be no pain as in suffering in childbirth, but there's definitely uncomfortable sensations during childbirth. But all of those sensations are actually from the uterus and the neck of the uterus, which is the cervix. But once the baby is in the birth canal, there is no pain.
Relief.
And then that, and then that ring of fire is actually the nerve endings of the clitoris extending and expanding.
Wow. Didn't know that. Thankfully, I did not experience the ring of fire, but I know I've heard a lot of women have. Yeah.
No fun.
I'm glad I didn't. Okay. So what else do you have to share about the wonderful topic of orgasms and masturbation? as it relates to whether it's a self-exploration just to know or self-exploration to connect with your partner better?
I think my last note is to just do it. Don't be scared. Don't be afraid of the stigma attached to it. I feel like we're raised as girls to be shamed, and we don't do that. But the reality is that science is behind the importance of it, and that we should be doing more of it.
Yeah. So to sum up what she shared earlier, having regular orgasms can help with infertility, not 100%, but it can help. It helps you to be happier, to live longer, anti-aging. PMS symptoms can be lessened. Am I missing anything? Immunity. I mean, all of the reasons. These are such great reasons. Yes.
Pain reduction, especially migraines and menstrual cramps.
There you go. Ladies, you have no excuse. Science says do it more often.
They do. Yes, absolutely. So, yeah, thank you so much, Michelle.
No, thank you.